Guys, we're going to be watching every level of wealth in 13 minutes.
Imagine the world is represented by these bubbles. If we resize them according to the population size, we get this picture. I'm going to rank them from poorest to richest and show you how people live around the world. We'll start with farmers living with less than $2 per day and climb all the way to Elon Musk. And I'm gonna make a bet. You probably can't answer these two simple questions about the world. Fewer than 2% of my viewers got them right. Question 1. Where does the
Okay.
majority of the world population live? A. Low income. B.
Okay.
Middle
But
income. Or
let me
C.
stop
High
pausing.
income countries. And 2. Since year
Alright.
2000, has global wealth inequality A. increased, B. stayed the same, or C. decreased?
Alright, so wait. Okay. So let's start with question one. Oh, where does the majority of the world's population live? Mm, fuck. I want to say low income. It's either low or middle income countries. It has to be, cause like high income countries, there's no way. Wait, no. Wait, no. Fuck. I'm trying to think about this. Let's go. Mm, I'm gonna go with B. I'm gonna go with B for number one, and then number two. Since 2000, the global wealth inequality has increased. Increased. 100% increased. Increased. So we're gonna go with B and A.
Hold on to your answers, we'll come back to them. This video was inspired by the book Factfulness, and I also took inspiration from these videos. I'm gonna rank our countries starting at the bottom. According to the World Bank, the 10 countries with the lowest GDP per capita in the world are all African countries. The more the bubbles are to the left, the lower the GDP per capita. And the country with the lowest GDP per capita is Burundi. Let's see
That's
how people live there.
crazy. There's no way.
The median wage in Burundi is $1.80 per day. Each woman has an average
$1.80 per day? How how do you live? How do you live, let alone take care of a family? Well, then again, if the income rate for the country is low, then then you also have to consider that that the cost of living is lower too. But still, like $1.80 per day, like that's nothing. That is literally nothing.
of around 5 children. Child mortality is high, and 5% of children don't make it to 5 years old.
Jesus.
Families are large, and most of them depend on agriculture to make a living. Most people live in rural areas, often in houses made with mud bricks. The Gapminder
Jesus.
Foundation documented how families live around the world and made their footage freely available. This family with 1 woman and 4 children had a total income of 90 cents per day. They live in a house with no electricity. Light comes from fire, which they also use to cook. This family sleeps on a bed made of straw, and this is their toilet. To find water, they need to walk to natural sources and carry that water back home. Most families in Burundi live in extreme poverty, and that's also true for most people in these countries. But so far, our chart only includes about 3.6% of the world population. I'm going to keep adding more countries until we get to about a quarter of the population.
Wait. Go back. Hold on.
But so far, our chart only includes about 3.6% of the world population.
So 3.56% of the world population is living like nothing. Just pure garbage.
I'm going to keep adding more countries until we get to about a quarter of the population. We get mostly African countries like Ethiopia and Nigeria, and Asian countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh. I'm going to pick Bangladesh and see how people live there. The median income in Bangladesh is $4.78 per day.
Jesus,
Each woman
bro.
has an average of 2.3 children. This family has 5 people, and they live in a house with a metal roof. They have beds, they have access to a pipe well, which is how most people get
That's
their
not a
water in
bad bed.
Bangladesh.
That's
They
not
have
a bad
toilet
bed.
and a place to wash their hands.
I mean, it looks
They also
comfortable.
have basic phones.
It's a
Their
level
house
up,
has
so
electricity, like more than 99% of households in Bangladesh. This might not sound like a big deal,
So you're telling me 99.3% houses in Bangladesh with electricity in 2023. Oh. So so literally that other percentage doesn't have electricity.
But in Portugal, a high income country in the country where I'm from, if we go back to 1970, only 64% of the population had access to electricity.
That's like a
Some
little
people
bit over
think that
half.
countries like Bangladesh will always stay poor. But the reality is that Bangladesh, in some aspects, is already more developed than the Portugal my parents grew up in. If we go back to our bubbles and add colors based on the income level according to the World Bank, we see that even though we're at the bottom 23% of the population, most countries in this chart are not considered low income. Bangladesh
Upper upper medium income countries is that we're so Bangladesh lower middle income countries, low income countries. Okay.
is considered medium income, or lower middle income to be precise. Most of the world population lives in middle income
Bet.
countries.
Yes,
A
sir.
question that
Yes,
only
sir. I got it
27% of my
right. I
audience
got it
got
right.
right. I
W.
also got it
W.
wrong. In 2000, 29% of people lived in extreme poverty. Nowadays, that percentage has fallen to less than a third. In a
Okay.
single generation, billions transitioned out of poverty. And while that was happening, another quiet transformation took place. Millions of people transitioned out of their poor problem solving skills with Brilliant, the sponsor of this video. Brilliant
God damn it, bro. Uh, I mean, but then again, you have to take into situation that like compared like to the 1900s or 1800s, like as over the course of time, as like more jobs become available, more better technology becomes more accessible. Jesus, I can't speak, but accessible, that like more people have more options to get out of poverty, or they have more choices or access to things that their parents didn't have access to. like 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 there are some people in countries that they became rich or wealthy or started making an income just through chat gbt or AI bots and things that they weren't able to do in their normal country or didn't have the skill for. So it's reasonable with my goddamn.
Brilliant
Okay,
works on your phone, so instead of wasting your commute scrolling
yeah.
for every level, you can with real data set. You can.
Jesus. Okay, there we are.
We now see India and other countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Let's see how people live in Indonesia. The median wage is around $6 per day, and women have on average around 2 children. Most families now live in urban areas, not rural. As countries develop, the population tends to migrate from the countryside into urban areas. This family of 4 lives in a house with a bathroom, a kitchen, bedrooms,
It's
and other
okay.
amenities we didn't see in the
It's
previous income levels.
it's leveling
Motorbikes
up.
are a
It's
common means of
leveling up.
transportation, and most people have access to internet and use smartphones.
Wait, hold on. My bad for the other pause. But then I realize as your income goes up, there are certain things that people buy that they logically really don't need. Like, so there's a difference of living at your income value and then living above your income. And then that makes me realize is that like for certain countries, like that gap, people don't realize that gap until like they're over their income level, or when they're like pushing it, or like they notice like damn, I don't got like I don't got enough money to buy this, or like if you're getting paid and you're like bro, I'm not getting paid enough.
We're
So like
entering the richer
so just imagine how these people feel. Like they ain't got shit. They have nothing. They have nothing.
half of the world. We now get mostly upper middle income countries from Latin America, Eastern Europe, Africa, and Asia, including China. Let's pick Brazil.
Okay, we're getting at $13 a day,
The
which
median
is
wage in
still
Brazil
ain't
is
shit.
about $13 per day. And in Brazil, women have on average 1.6 children. For the first time, we get a fertility rate below the replacement level. Wealthier countries tend to have lower fertility rates. Although hunger
Yeah,
is
because they
still a
can't
problem in
afford it.
Brazil, more people die from obesity than undernutrition. As countries develop, the percentage of obese population also tends to increase. At this level of income, it's now common for people to have a car and a computer. Brazil is above the global average, but still far from the world's richest. If we add more bubbles, we start getting high income countries. We're now at 90% of the world's population, and I'm gonna pick Spain.
Okay.
The median income is $41 per day. In countries like Spain, most people live in good quality housing. They have
Okay.
access to decent healthcare, social security, and public facilities. At this tier, you also start getting the freedom to travel to almost everywhere. A Spanish citizen can travel to a total of 189 countries visa free. For most of the world, that is not
What? Yo, I did not know that. I did not know that if you were in Spain, you can like just travel for free. There's no way. I'm gonna have to look into that. There is no way. So if you're a Spain citizen, you can like travel for free, like within like the area of Spain. I mean, that probably is a possibility. I mean, cause like I don't feel like it's free because like in America we can travel like all across the states, right? But like it's cheaper depending on where you're flying to. Like 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 if you're flying out of state, is like obviously costs more if you're going to another country. But if you're flying in state, it's a lot more cheaper. But I don't know about free now. Oh, hold on, free.
the case. If we look at the passport index of every country, we see that lower income countries have a lower number of destinations they can visit without a visa. The freedom to travel the
Singapore
world
W.
depends on the income level of your country. Despite having good living standards compared to the rest of the world, many people in these countries haven't enjoyed the economic
All right, one more pause. I'm fucking with these animations. I fucking love these animations. Like they look like they're made in Blender or like something similar to Blender. W animations. W
growth
animations.
we got in countries like Bangladesh or Indonesia. I spoke with economist Branko Milanovic, one of the researchers behind the famous chart explaining this. It's called the elephant curve. On the x-axis, we have the income percentile of the global population. The chart shows us how much income has grown across the population in the 20 years up to 2008. The people around the 50th percentile of income, mostly people in Asia, saw big gains. But then for the Western middle class, the curve flatlines.
People who are around the 75th.
Hold on. When did this happen during? Hold on. So, real income growth rate percentile capita. This is between 1988 and 2008. Wasn't there the stock market? Jesus, once again I can't fucking speak. Wasn't there the stock market crash in 2008, and then I forgot the other stock market crash, and then we also have to take into consideration. Were there any pandemics around that time? I can't remember because like I was fucking born in 2005, so yeah.
People who are around the 75th, 80th percentile of the world income distribution, which means they are richer than the Chinese, had very slow growth, and in many cases, actually growth of close to 0% per year over 20 years.
And meanwhile, the global top 1% captured a large share of the growth, riding the wave of globalization.
The
In
top
recent years, the curve
1%.
becomes smoother, but the pattern still holds. Many in the West feel stuck, while much of Asia has moved up. Let's move higher.
Okay, yeah, now we're getting into fucking.
In the final 10%
Yeah.
of the world's population, we find the wealthiest countries such as the US.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. Okay.
The median wage in the
62 a
US
day
is
is
about
not
$62
bad.
per day.
Is it
Living
really?
standards are not super
$62 a day. It is it really? Hold on. 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 Fuck.
different from the previous year, but people can afford more things here. Americans tend to have bigger houses, bigger
God damn,
cars,
my
and they can
computer's
buy more
lagging.
things in general. Most Americans are quite rich compared
Oh.
to the rest of the world.
It is 11
Hold on. Hold.
12%
Jesus, stop lagging.
who are in the global top 1.
Okay. Okay. All right. Here, let me check. All right, but yo, I gotta figure this out. Well, I don't know why my computer's lagging. Uh, let's see. in the minimum wage in the U.S. Let's see. Hold on. My computer's taking super long. I'm trying to see. It does it. Okay, so I'm trying to see if there's like a scale. Here, let me just open up minimum wage rates by 2025. I'm looking it up. Chat. Okay, here we go. So this is minimumwage.org. Federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. I don't know. That kind of sounds weird. Okay, Florida. That actually is pretty accurate. 13 an hour. Yeah, cause I mean, cause like when I was working, I got paid like I started off at 12.50, and then my other job it was 14.50. So yeah, so yeah, and then it went up to 15. So so that might be accurate. Oh, that this might be accurate. I don't know. Someone's gonna have to fact check this though. I don't know. But yeah, let's get back to the vid.
percent. And I think many of them don't realize that.
But this doesn't mean every American is rich. So far, we've only been looking at country averages, but inside each of these bubbles, there are both rich people and poor people. We need to look at the inequality within countries. The bubbles now show how much income the top 10% earn in each country. In the US, the top 10% get 47% of the income. The country with the highest income inequality is South Africa, where the top 10% get 65% of the income.
Jesus.
We're talking about income, which tells you how much money someone earns. But we should also look at the wealth, the accumulated worth of everything you own. It includes your savings, but also your house, your car, and your investments, making it arguably a better indicator of inequality. If we switch the chart from income to wealth inequality, the gap becomes even bigger. South Africa also has the highest wealth inequality, with the top 10% holding almost 86% of the total wealth. On the other end, in the Netherlands, they own 45%. Wealth inequality within countries has generally increased in the last decades. Each country has a different trend, but in the US, the top 10% owns 71% of the wealth in 2021, more than 25 years earlier. This number also went up in all of the world's top 10 economies. This can have negative impacts, and several economists argue that the more unequal a society, the weaker its institutions tend to become over time. The World Inequality Report argues that this was not inevitable, but a political choice. They argue that in the 80s, leaders like Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher pushed a series of policies that made private wealth go up and public wealth go down. So their argument here is that if governments own less, then in theory they're less capable of tackling inequality. But from now on, we're not going to talk about countries anymore. We're entering global wealth tiers. If your wealth is at least $1 million, then you're part of the global 1%. This could mean having $1 million.
That's what I'm trying to get. Hell yeah. My first $1 million? That's the goal. That's the goal.
In your bank account, or just owning an expensive house. There are 82 million people in this group, and they own 38% of the world's wealth. To make it to the top 0.01%, you need a wealth of at least $21 million. There are about 800,000 people in this group, and they own 11% of the world's wealth. It's estimated that private jets are used by about 0.003% of the population, which would be about 30% of this group. If your wealth is at least $1 billion, then you're considered a billionaire. There are roughly 3,000 billionaires in the world, and they own 3% of the world's wealth. Over the years, the wealth of global billionaires has gone up, and the same is true for the people in the previous tier. But one billionaire takes the number one position on Forbes. As of the making of this video, Elon Musk is the wealthiest person in the world with a net worth of almost $400 billion. Between 2020 and 2024, Elon Musk's wealth grew at an average rate of $1,300 per second. If Elon Musk saw a $100 bill on the floor, it would literally not be worth his time to pick it up. So now that we've reached the top, let's revisit question 2. Has global inequality gone up since 2000? Most of my audience said yes, and that makes sense. We've seen the rise of billionaires in the top 0.01% and increasing inequality within countries. But the answer, to my own surprise, is C. Global
How? 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 Explain to me how.
inequality has actually gone down. But how's that possible?
To be very sort of blunt,
Actually, he's right. Actually, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, he's right. I mean, of course, there's been a much more bigger gap of global inequality, but if you think about like compared to generations, global like previous generations, global inequality was probably much more bigger than it is now because there are so much more options and things that people can do in order to make more money.
reducing inequality between Malawi and the UK is much more important than reducing inequality within the UK.
Although inequality within countries went up in many regions, the inequality between countries has gone down. The global top 10% now owns 74% of the wealth, which is less than before. And the bottom 50% own 2.1% of the wealth, which is not much, but still higher than in 2000. Developing countries are catching up. If we go back to 1990, the bubble chart looked like this. Almost 40% of the world lived.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about. Cause like compared to now, it's much more easy to become rich and wealthy compared to previous generations, where like you were low key fucked if you were born into a super poor family, and like it was. I want to say back then, if you made it if you made it from rags to riches back then, you were considered top 1%, at least minimum requirement. At least minimum requirement. Like you were at least like if you somehow like made it from rags to riches back then in the 19, 18, 16, 1500s, you came from rags to riches and fucking like became super wealthy.
in low-income countries. As the years passed, billions climbed out of poverty, and now
Yep.
most of the world lives in middle-income countries. This doesn't mean that people aren't struggling or that we shouldn't worry about rising inequality within countries, but personally, I also think it's important that we acknowledge the progress that has been made. Most people, myself included, fail these questions because we don't have an accurate picture of the world. That's the video for today. Thank you for watching. This one took a bit longer with all the data animations.
All right, that was a W video. W video on the.
Look, I don't know if anybody told you, but I love flying, okay? Me, I love flying, alright? Do you need to know again? Me, I love flying, alright? Flying's all mine, okay? It's all mine. I love flying. It's all mine.